Hi. If you couldn't be with us at last Sunday's All Together gathering, then let me present for you now what I shared with those who were able to come. You may have heard the saying, "It is strange but true, for truth is always stranger than fiction." Those words are from a poem by Lord George Byron, the famous English poet. Robert Ripley turned this idea into a business. He travelled the world to discover things that were so strange people would find them hard to believe. He told them about these unbelievable facts in a series of newspaper stories and TV shows, which he called Believe It or Not. For example, believe it or not, there was a place and time that unicorns existed. Oberon Zell, a man who formed his own church called Church of All the World, carefully breeded and developed goats with one horn in the center of their head, his very own unicorns. See, there are facts that are so strange it would be reasonable to say they are not true, that they are unbelievable. The Christmas story about Joseph and the angel could be given the title, Believe It or Not. Joseph was asked by an angel to believe something to be true that many would say is so strange it cannot be true. It's unbelievable. The story tells us that Mary got pregnant. Now that should be exciting news. But how do you think Joseph felt when he found out that Mary was pregnant? He was disappointed and upset. Why? Well, because Mary had got pregnant without Joseph's help. Some other man must have fertilized the egg inside her. And now she was carrying a baby, and he was not the father, although engaged to be married to her. And to make matters worse, people would think that he had gotten Mary pregnant because he is the fiancé, and that he had done so before they were married and living together. So he was upset about what people were going to think and to say about Mary, about him, about their families. Mary getting pregnant when she was not married to a husband was against the rules of their families, the customs of their village, and the laws of their country. Joseph had a reputation in his village of obeying rules, of doing what was right, and now he would be accused of doing something wrong. So he only had one decision to make, and that was he had to divorce her. He had to withdraw from the agreement to marry her. But he was a good man who combined fairness with kindness. And while he wanted to clear his own name and his family's name, telling people he was not the father, he wanted to do so in a way that didn't put Mary on show for all the village and shame her by accusing her of wrongdoing publicly. So instead, while he had to divorce her, the kindest thing he could do would be to do it quietly, to try and contain it so it doesn't become public gossip. Now the strange thing about this story is that God is the one who got Mary pregnant. He's the creator of everything out of nothing, so he can do that. And he did a miracle and made sure that the egg inside of Mary started to grow into a child without any help from Joseph or any man. And that's strange because it has never been done before or after. So why did God do that? It's also strange because God is the one who tells people to marry first and then have children. But while Joseph is miserable and sad, God's excited about Mary's pregnancy. God is doing something very special and making the unbelievable believable because he is God. He can do it and he wants to do it. He wants also Joseph to join in the excitement and become part of what God is planning to do. God is so excited he sends a messenger to Joseph. We call them an angel. And he wants to tell Joseph the good news. First of all, Mary didn't break her promise to Joseph. She didn't do anything wrong. This is a miracle. This is a God event. And this baby is going to do everything right for everyone. He's going to do the biggest and best thing ever done in the history of the whole world. He is going to save us from the curse of death so that we can live forever. The miracle of life being preserved. Now, you see, this truth can be stranger than fiction, and the angel is asking Joseph to believe the unbelievable. Some say that we don't have to believe this story to be a Christian. They say it's too strange to believe that Mary got pregnant without the intervention of a man. Some say that it's not believable and we don't have to believe it. I agree that it is very strange, but in God's world, facts can be stranger than fiction, especially when God is intervening and intruding into the normal miracles he does. And I do think that to have a unique person who is both God and human does require a very unique way of producing this special person for this special purpose. And that is the challenge to Joseph and to us. It's a challenge to us to become a Christian because God is asking us to open our minds to believe that he is actually working in this world, that he's making the impossible now possible. God is asking us to believe that he is here and he is working when nothing seems to be happening. He wants you to know that behind the scenes, he is doing something magical and exciting. And so that this boy is not an illegitimate boy, he is a legitimate son of God and son of Mary. Joseph could only enter into the joy and excitement of God's plan if he believed the message from the angel. It was for Joseph a believe it or not moment. He decided to believe it. And by believing, he not only entered into what God was doing, but even contributed. He became a father to the Son, who is God's Son and our Savior. In doing so, he knew he would always have lots of people saying he made Mary pregnant out of wedlock or marriage, or that she had been with another man. He would always have this misunderstanding. But to be part of what God was doing, well, that made up for all the bad jokes and the ridicule. It more than compensated. This story is a reminder that we don't get to be part of the exciting things that God is doing in this world until we believe what might seem, at first to many, as unbelievable, as too strange. And when we enter God's world and plans, we realize that maybe Hans Christian Andersen, the famous Danish storyteller, was always correct when he said, "The whole world is a series of miracles, but we're so used to them, we call them ordinary things."